For more perspective, I'm joined by Jennifer Cooke, Director of the Africa Program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Jennifer, welcome to Africa 54.
Thanks, Vincent.
Now, we saw the president there saying he wants a broader conversation on the causes for, extremism, why young people are lured to extremist organizations. But some people want him to be very specific, as particularly mention extreme Islam.
Yeah, I think he wants to be very careful with his language because he doesn't want to paint Islam with a broad brush. Nor does I think he want to fuel kind of a bigotry against Islam that you do see, and kind of as people don't understand different interpretations of Islam. I think he very much wants to make the point that the interpretations that lead to violent extremism are prevalent only among a very small majority of Muslims. And so he doesn't want, he was very explicit that he doesn't want this to turn into the West versus Islam. Some of the United States' greatest allies will be Muslims in the fight against violent extremism.
Now, one of the things that people have, concerned that they have raised is that many of the young people that have been attracted to some of these extremist groups claim they have been alienated in their communities in the West. They feel out of place. But they will also at the same time say, well, there are other communities that feel the same, but they don't join terrorist organizations.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole body of literature and psychological analysis on who is attracted to these groups. Many are kind of young immigrants who may have a foot in two different cultures, but feel a part of neither one of them. And I think his call, President Obama's call here, is that it can't just be the government that is involved here. It has to be community leaders, teachers, parents, religious leaders as well, that kind of identify kind of vulnerability and work to address and kind of confront what leads young children or young men into radical extremism.
Which sometimes is mind-boggling because some of their parents came here because of the activities of extreme groups in their countries, in some of the extremist groups there. They come to the West because there's more freedom.
Yeah.
And then these younger fellows who are born and brought up here are attracted to those groups that made their parents leave.
I think it's baffling to the parents as well, who have come to escape egregious violence. But again, it goes to this kind of dislocation of young men who feel a part of neither culture.
Okay.
It also goes to the increasing sophistication of the recruitment tactics by many of these groups, online and social media, Twitter, YouTube, and so forth.
Well, our concern is, not only the kids who are from here, but there are kids in those very same countries that are being recruited daily, whether it is Iraq, Somalia, Nigeria. So is it so much about feeling out of place, really?
Well, and the point was made here, when there are deep human rights abuses, when young men feel they have no economic opportunity, they may be vulnerable to this. That doesn't mean that every young man without an economic opportunity turns to it. Yeah. But certainly there's a context there that may, and money is also involved.
Okay. I want to ask you quickly a question about Nigeria, which has been plagued by the terrorist group Boko Haram.
Yeah.
Now, the government, or rather the Electoral Commission, postponed the election for a few more weeks. Yeah. Do you see things changing drastically before Election Day?
Well, you do see a real momentum against Boko Haram right now, I would say. Nigerian military seems to be getting its act together, more coordinated, has seized back a number of towns, has repelled a number of attacks on big towns. Chad is getting involved, Cameroon, Niger. There's a much more coordinated confrontation happening there. Yeah. It happens in a moment of deep distress because of the postponement of the elections. But that aside, I think there is a real momentum right now against Boko Haram. It doesn't take away from the distrust of the opposition that this is a ploy to extend Jonathan's term in power.
Some suspicion there. Jennifer, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Vincent.
All right. Jennifer Cooke is Director of the Africa Program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies.